It started with a laugh, loud, careless, and laced with the kind of privilege that didn't need to hide behind manners. She's just the janitor. Let her play. Might be fun to watch. The words floated from Logan Wright's mouth, CEO of a billion-dollar firm, standing in a designer suit with bourbon in hand, surrounded by executives who hung on his every smirk. A few of them chuckled. One even raised a glass, amused. Danielle stood off to the side, wiping fingerprints off a marble table. She didn't flinch, didn't speak, just kept polishing the surface like she hadn't heard it 1,000 times before in different forms. Wrong place. Wrong face. Logan turned to her again. "Hey, why don't you take a seat? Think you can give me a game?" The chessboard was already set up in the center of the lounge. Crystal pieces, white velvet cushions. Some execs looked at each other, grinning like it was about to be entertainment. A vice president whispered, "She knows the rules, right?" Someone else snorted, "It's not checkers, sweetheart." Danielle walked toward the board without saying a word. Calm, composed. Not a trace of a smile, just control. She sat down and said, "I'll take black." Logan raised an eyebrow. "Feeling confident, are we?" She didn't answer. She didn't need to. He opened aggressively, sharp, fast moves that looked impressive. His eyes never left her face, like he was waiting for her to blink. But Danielle didn't blink. Her fingers moved with precision, no hesitation, no theatrics. She didn't look like she was playing. She looked like she was remembering. 10 moves in, Logan's jaw tightened. 15 moves in, a few laughs stopped. By 22, the room went quiet. All you could hear was the click of pieces. Checkmate. Danielle stood. "Thanks for the match, Mr. Wright. I've got floors to finish." And just like that, she pushed her cleaning cart toward the hallway, leaving behind stunned silence, untouched cocktails, and a CEO who didn't know what just hit him. Logan didn't move. He stared at the board like it had betrayed him. His king still trapped in the corner, right where she wanted it. That night, no one in that boardroom remembered what the presentation was about. But everyone remembered the janitor who checkmated the boss. Logan didn't sleep that night. He laid in his high-rise penthouse with the lights of Chicago dancing on the glass, but his mind wasn't on the skyline. He was still at that board. Her fingers, the way she didn't flinch, the way the entire room shifted when she said, "Checkmate." He opened his laptop and typed her name. Danielle Hayes. Nothing. No LinkedIn, no photos, no social media, just noise. Other people with the same name, other faces, but not her. He clicked deeper, into archived chess sites, high school tournaments, junior leagues. He knew what he'd seen wasn't beginner's luck. And there it was, a grainy photo from the Southside Invitational, 2008. A 14-year-old black girl with a braid tucked behind her ear, hand hovering above a wooden board, eyes locked on the king piece. Below it, D. Hayes, semi-finalist. He stared at that image like it held the answers he couldn't buy. The next day, he didn't show up to his 9 a.m. call or his 11 a.m. finance meeting. Instead, Logan took the service elevator, the one executives never touched. The air changed on that floor. Faint bleach, rusted corners, low ceilings, the place where faces went unseen. He asked around. Danielle wasn't on shift. Her name was circled in red. 2 days off. No phone, no contact. No one knew anything. Like she'd cleaned her way out of the system, too. Back upstairs, Logan paced the executive lounge. Then something odd happened. He reset the chessboard. white on his side, black waiting across from him. And he waited. That night, at 11:43 p.m., the sound of squeaky wheels echoed from the hallway. Danielle entered with her cart. Same uniform, same braid, same silence. She saw the board, saw him, didn't pause. He stood. "I didn't mean to embarrass you," he said, quieter than he meant to. "You didn't," she replied, pulling gloves onto her hands. "You asked for a game. I gave you one." "I want to play again," he said. "No guests. No performance. Just me and you." Danielle looked at the board, then at him. The silence felt like it stretched across the room. Then she walked to the chair, pulled it back, and sat down. "If you open with that Scandinavian defense again," she said without looking up, "I'm flipping the board." Logan smiled for the first time all day and sat down. That second game didn't end with a win. It ended in a draw. 34 moves of silence. No audience, no cocktails, just the sound of thought and old wood against velvet. Danielle didn't smile when she stood up. "I should finish the rest of the floor before the wax dries." Logan watched her push the cart away, her footsteps quiet like everything she did. But he wasn't humiliated this time. He was intrigued. She hadn't gone for the win. She held the game steady like a metronome, making him feel every inch of the board. The next night, he waited again. Same setup, same hour. She came. Again, they played. Again, no talking. Just chess. And something in between. Something slow. Building. By the fourth night, Logan finally asked, "Where did you learn?" Danielle was spraying cleaner along the table edge, her hands moving like they'd done it 1,000 times. She didn't look up. "My dad taught me, steel worker. Played in the park after his shift with old men who slapped clocks and cursed in 4 languages. I watched them." Logan nodded. "And tournaments?" "I stopped before high school." "Why?" She looked up at him. "Because hospitals don't run on dreams, and little sisters don't feed themselves." He didn't know what to say, and she didn't wait for him to find something. She moved to the next table. That night, Logan didn't sleep again. But this time, it wasn't her silence that kept him up. It was his own. He thought about the way her hands moved. Not dramatic. Not forced. Just clean. Controlled. Like she knew how to handle pressure because she lived in it. The next morning, he did something he hadn't done in years. He drove himself. No assistant, no driver, no meetings. Just a South Side address he pulled from an old facilities schedule. A rec center with peeling paint and broken blinds. The place Veriton once promised to fund. And forgot. Inside, in a corner of a dusty room, he found her. On her knees, beside a warped table, showing a small kid how to avoid back-rank mate. She hadn't seen him yet. He stood there for a long time, watching her. Not impress. Not survive. Just teach. When the class ended, she noticed him leaning against a wall. "You followed me?" she asked, grabbing her tote bag. "I asked around. Said you coach here every Saturday." She narrowed her eyes. "You stalk all your opponents?" "Only the ones who beat me in 23 moves and leave without taking credit." She didn't smile. "Why are you really here?" He pulled a folded flyer from his coat. "Chicago Open. I already signed us up. Just initials, no logos, no noise." "I'm not playing," she said. I'm 31. I work nights. I haven't trained in years. You train every time you play me. That's not the same. What if I told you we'd play the same hours, same boards, same rules? No advantage, no PR, just chess. She stared at him, quiet. Then slowly took the flyer. I'll think about it, she said. But if I do this, I play where you play, and if I win... She didn't finish the sentence. She didn't need to. They trained in a quiet cafe on Roosevelt and Wabash. It opened early for commuters, but no one noticed the billionaire in a gray hoodie and the black janitor with tired eyes sitting across from each other. They didn't talk much, just set up the board and played. 5 mornings a week, before the world woke up. Danielle brought muscle memory, instinct, street tactics. Logan brought books, theory, polished openings. And somehow they met in the middle, trading pawns and ideas. One morning, after she trapped his queen with a quiet sacrifice, Logan leaned back. You read my thoughts. No, she said calmly. I read your patterns. You don't like being uncomfortable. That's your biggest weakness. He stared at her for a moment, like he was hearing something no one had dared to say to him. Later that week, the whispers started. A blurry photo leaked online. Logan and Danielle hunched over a board, laughing. Headline, CEO mentors janitor in secret tournament deal. Progressive or PR stunt? His communications team panicked, drafted statements, tried to spin it. Logan didn't bother. Let them talk, he said. This is the only real leadership I've ever done. But Danielle? She paid for it differently. She found a folded note in her locker. 3 words typed in all caps. Know your place. She crumpled it slowly. Not from fear, from fury. That night, she showed up late to the rec center. The kids were already finishing drills. One of them, Tasha, waved a worksheet proudly. Danielle barely looked at it. Her answers were short. Her instructions clipped. When one of the older boys missed a move, she snapped at him. He froze. She'd never raised her voice before. After class, she sat alone near the bleachers, staring at the scuffed gym floor like it had answers. Logan walked in, quietly. You didn't show this morning. I know. I waited an hour. I know. He stepped closer. What happened? She looked up, fire in her eyes. You don't get to ask me that. I'm trying to help. Number. You're trying to fix me. You still get to walk into every room and be seen, even when you don't speak. I have to earn that just by standing still. He stayed quiet. I got a note, she finally said. What did it say? It doesn't matter. What matters is this. People don't like what they can't control. You're used to being admired. I'm used to being ignored. But now that they're watching, it's worse. She stood. I don't want to be your story, not your redemption arc, not your press moment. You're not, he said gently. You're the reason I'm not empty anymore. Then stop standing in front of me. A pause hung between them. The tournament's in 3 weeks, she said. I need space. I need to focus. He nodded. I'll see you at the board. No more cafe. No more cameras. No more you walking 2 steps ahead. She picked up her bag and headed for the exit. Right before pushing the door open, she turned back. If I win, she said, I want you to clap like I'm a stranger. He smiled but said nothing. He already knew he would. Logan didn't call. Didn't text, didn't show up at the cafe again. But the board stayed. Each night, after the office emptied and the lounge lights dimmed, he'd leave one move on the travel set. A single shift. A silent message. Danielle would find it the next day, during her shift. She never replied with words. Just the counter move. It became their language. A quiet, invisible game across days and distance. No notes, no stares, just the board. But outside that small routine, the tension tightened. HR called Danielle in for a routine review. The room was sterile. White walls, beige chairs, smiling faces with hidden knives. "We've had questions," one woman said, too cheerful. Danielle crossed her arms. "I clean floors," she said, "and sometimes I play chess." "With the CEO?" On his break, after hours, no pay, no promises. "You understand how this appears." "I understand appearance is a luxury for people with titles. Am I being disciplined?" "No." "Then I have work to do." She left before the sentence finished. That night, she thought about skipping the executive floor. But something pulled her back. When she walked in, the board was already mid-game. A queen sacrifice lay in the center. Bold, aggressive. She stared at it, then smiled. So he'd been paying attention. She responded. Then, for the first time, left a note. "Nice try. Your diagonal was exposed 3 moves ago." D. The next day, Logan walked into the boardroom where his team waited with quarterly charts and projections. He tossed a 1-page memo on the table. Southside STEM and chess program pilot. One exec raised an eyebrow. "You want to fund a chess program?" "No," he said. "I want to invest in kids no one sees. In minds no one talks to. And this isn't about headlines. It's about doing something real." "Given recent rumors," another began. Logan looked up. "The optics are this. We're a company that puts action behind values. And talent doesn't always wear a nameplate or a tailored suit. Sometimes it carries a mop." The vote passed. Narrowly. 3 days later, Danielle was coaching again when a woman in a sharp green suit showed up at the rec center. "We'd like to support your Saturday program," she said. "Supplies, transportation, new boards, no conditions. Donor is anonymous." Danielle narrowed her eyes. "This have anything to do with the man who always plays white?" The woman only smiled. That evening, Danielle entered the executive lounge. Logan was already there, standing, not seated, like he was awaiting judgment. She walked to the board, moved a pawn forward. "You're starting this time?" he asked. "I've been letting you lead long enough." "I didn't fund the donation," he said quickly. "Of course you didn't." "I didn't want to insult your pride." "It's not pride," she replied, eyes still on the board. "It's proof that someone like me can get somewhere without being rescued." He nodded. "Then let's play. Equal ground." She pulled the chair back and sat. "Then stop talking," she said, "and move." The alarm on Danielle's phone went off at 4:45 a.m. She didn't flinch. She'd been up anyway, lying in the dark of her South Side apartment, thinking. By 5:15, she was walking toward the cafe again. Same windbreaker, same scuffed sneakers, same second-hand bag with her old wooden board inside. Logan was already seated in the corner booth, sipping cheap black coffee from a cracked mug. "You're late," he said, without looking up. "I'm always late when you try that smug little Scandinavian defense." She slid into the seat across from him. No pleasantries, no good mornings. They opened the board and started playing. 5 days a week before the sun came up, they met there. And in between rooks and pawns, something else formed. It wasn't friendship. It wasn't mentorship. It was survival training. For both of them. He brought theory. She brought instinct. He leaned on books. She leaned on memory. Somewhere in the middle, they both evolved. She began dismantling his openings before he could blink. He stopped treating her like an opponent and started treating her like a mirror, one that reflected everything his success had made him forget. "You ever get tired of carrying everyone's expectations?" he asked one morning after losing 3 games back-to-back. "No," she said, eyes still on the board. "I get tired of being erased. Winning makes people pretend I was never invisible." A few days later, Logan was pulled into a crisis PR meeting. Someone had posted new photos, him and Danielle, mid-game at the cafe. The headline read, "CEO mentors janitor for elite chess tournament. Real equality or strategic optics?" "This wasn't cleared," his head of comms snapped, laying printouts across the table. "Good." "Excuse me?" "I said good," Logan repeated. "If they want to talk about leadership, class, second chances, let them. I'm not hiding this." Meanwhile, Danielle faced a different kind of heat. In the locker room, a note had been taped to her locker. This time in thick black marker. "You'll always be the help." She didn't crumble. But that kind of anger doesn't explode. It simmers. That evening at the rec center, she barked at a student for missing a tactic. The boy looked hurt. She walked away. Logan showed up at the back of the gym. He didn't speak, just stood near the bleachers while the kids packed up and left. "You didn't come this morning," he said softly. "I couldn't." "Talk to me." She faced him. "You get to mess up and still get invited in. I mess up once, and they call it a scandal." "What happened?" "I got reminded that no matter how much I win, I'm still not who they want in the spotlight." Logan exhaled. "I don't want you in the spotlight. I just want you in the game." She paused. "Then stop standing in the light and casting shadows on everyone else." He nodded. "The tournament's in a week." "I know." "I'll see you there." She picked up her bag and walked out. "If I win," she said without turning, "you clap like you've never met me." He didn't answer, but she knew he would. The tournament hall was colder than she expected. Fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, bouncing off beige walls and rows of cheap folding tables. Each table had a regulation board and a digital clock. Everything felt stiff, sterile. Danielle stood near the back, gripping her player badge like it was a shield. She wore a navy blouse, clean slacks, and sneakers she'd scrubbed the night before. Around her, players shifted in tailored suits and designer hoodies, grandmasters, prodigies, club elites. No one looked like her. Across the room, Logan walked in. No suit, no security, just jeans, a hoodie, and eyes that scanned until they found her. He didn't approach. He just nodded once. She nodded back. That was enough. Her first opponent underestimated her immediately. Tried small talk, complimented her for being brave enough to play. She dismantled him in 27 moves. The second game was tighter. A young woman who played aggressively, wild and fast. Danielle slowed the tempo, let her overextend, then collapsed the center. Another win. By the end of day 1, Danielle was undefeated. But the whispers returned. Near the coffee table, 2 spectators leaned close. Isn't that the janitor from the Veritan story? She's not self-made. She's got corporate backing. Danielle walked past them without blinking. She'd been ignored before. Now, they were trying to rewrite her. Day 2. Semi-finals. Her opponent? A smug man in a pinstripe suit who smirked like the board already belonged to him. "You ready?" he asked. "I've been ready," she replied. The match was brutal, precise, tactical. At move 43, her bishop sliced his defense clean in half. He reached for his clock, then stopped. Checkmate. From the next board over, Logan watched it happen. He had just lost his match, but when she stood, he clapped. Once, twice, then louder. Others followed. Reporters moved in, cameras flashed, officials handed her a glass trophy. None of it mattered. She looked over at Logan. He mouthed it silently, like a stranger. Weeks later, the rec center gym smelled like floor polish and sunlight. Dozens of kids sat around mismatched boards, waiting for instructions. Danielle stood at the front, no mop, no uniform, just a clipboard and a voice full of clarity. "All right, pawns to the center. Let's begin." One girl raised her hand. "Coach D, did you really beat all those people?" Danielle smiled. "I didn't play to beat them. I played so none of you would ever have to ask permission to sit at the table." After class, Logan appeared near the back wall with 2 coffees. She walked over without hesitation. "You lurking again?" she asked. "I prefer the term strategic observing." She rolled her eyes, took the coffee. He pulled out a box. Inside was a carved wooden chess queen, polished black walnut. At its base, 5 words were engraved. "Every move you made mattered." Danielle stared at it for a long moment. "I'm not used to gifts." "You should be," he said. "You're someone worth remembering." That night, she placed it next to a single pawn on her windowsill. One piece for where she started. One for who she'd become. The trophy stayed in a closet. But the applause, she carried it everywhere.